Brian, thank you for being here on the Spirit Farm podcast, man. It's great to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're going to talk about all kinds of things. We're going to talk about you owning a CrossFit gym, kind of how that journey got there, coming out of your background in corporate America, all the things. But I want to start with a little research that I did that says,
here we go.
Once you transferred over into the 40-year-old range, you are now ranked 13th in the world.
13th in the world, yeah.
As a CrossFit competitor over 40.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's really cool.
There's like tens of thousands of, how many people is included in that?
My age group was really big this year. I want to say it was 15,000, 12,000 guys that signed up just for the CrossFit Open, which is the qualifier for the CrossFit Games.
And you're number 13.
13.
That's incredible.
I had a really bad week. Otherwise, I think because there's 5 weeks of qualifying. I had a really bad week. Otherwise, I think I could have been in the top 10.
Really?
Yeah.
What does a bad week mean? What happened? What went wrong?
It was one of those workouts that came out and I looked at it and I was like, I don't really want to do this one. And so mentally I went into it and I wasn't in a great spot. And when everybody is so similar in terms of athletic ability, training, history, just aerobic capacity, those sorts of things, and you aren't in a good spot mentally, that makes a big difference. And so I think I finished with 200 and some points, low score like golf wins, and I think I had 110 points on that workout.
Oh.
So it was a really good qualifier. And so the next step is the top 200 people in the world will go to a qualifier weekend, which is they'll announce 4 or 5 workouts on a Thursday, and in your own gym, you'll do them on video. And then the top 10 people in the world will go to the CrossFit Games.
Holy crap. Yeah. So 200 people get invited just to submit the video.
Yeah, so from 12 or 15,000, however many were in my age group, down to 200. 200 people get to do these next 4 workouts.
Which you are in.
Which I'm in.
Yeah.
We'll all do those workouts over one weekend. So I'll do them at CrossFit Magna. You'll have the opportunity to watch if you want.
Awesome.
And then we'll submit our scores and our videos. And if you're in the top 10, they'll go through and look at all of your videos to make sure that what you said your score was actually legit, that you performed the workouts up to their standards.
Okay. And then the top 10 will be invited to
the CrossFit Games in August.
Games,
yeah. And
which are going to be in August.
We're talking about, it's called Age Group Online Qualifier, so teens and masters. Now the general 18 to 35-year-olds that fall into the regular group of CrossFit Games athletes have a slightly different process.
Okay.
But for the age groups, this is how we qualify for the CrossFit Games.
And you've been at this a long time.
Yeah.
You've qualified 5 different regionals in those years
Yeah,
prior?
so individually 5 times for regionals. I competed 4 times as an individual and then 3 times on a team.
So good.
That was really cool.
Now, I've watched the CrossFit Games just on like Amazon or Netflix, or I can't remember where they're televised, but I've watched them on TV, and they're just freaks. I mean, the people and what they're doing are unbelievable in terms of their talent and athleticism, also their mental game.
Yep.
What separates like those handful of men and women from the other 100,000 that are in love with CrossFit, doing CrossFit, committed to CrossFit?
There's 2 things. One, physical abilities. So just like not everybody that plays basketball plays high school or college basketball.
Right.
So we're starting with people that are physically gifted. Yeah. But even more so than that, the people that make it to the CrossFit Games have a significant mental capacity that other people don't have, in my opinion. Yeah. The ability to train all the time, the ability to stay focused on things like nutrition and recovery. So if you don't have that sort of dedication and commitment level, not just in workouts, but outside of workouts, the other 20 hours a day that you're not training, that's going to be the deciding factor.
How did you learn recovery and nutrition in your journey?
Man, that's crazy. So when I started CrossFit, it was really new. The sport was new. The methodology was new, meaning that there weren't a lot of gyms to go to and do CrossFit workouts. So there was a lot of trial by error. and we learned a lot of things. We made some mistakes. I always experimented with things personally before I would ever recommend it to anybody else. So I've tried a lot of things. But I've also, one of the things that CrossFit has always embraced is working with experts.
Okay.
And they're always searching for people that are experts in their field, people that can contribute to what they're trying to do, which is, to make people healthier, fitter. And there's a bunch of different ways to explain that. But it started with fitness, and now it's really grown beyond that into health.
Yeah.
CrossFit health has come up now. You hear that more and more, not just forging elite fitness. So beyond the CrossFit Games, what can we do to help everybody that we work with as an affiliate be healthier? And so trial and error, and we went through a lot of stuff. And I think that is important. And I think it's important. I can tell you to do something, but if you try and it doesn't work for you, then there needs to be that open communication. And I have that open communication with myself. I'm really lucky that my wife's involved as well.
Yeah.
So we can talk about things. I don't know about this. And then I bounce some ideas off of her.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that are athletes and affiliate owners. I'm always talking to them.
Well, because everybody's body is different, is going to respond in different ways to things, right?
Yeah.
And so
like I'm
figuring out what
40,
works.
right? I'm a 20. I have a friend that's competing in the sport. He's 29. We're different. I've got 2 kids. He's not.
Right.
He doesn't have any kids.
Right.
I'm married. He's not. And so, my recovery looks a little bit different than his. He gets on a bike and rides for an hour at low intensity and, does Epsom salt soaks or whatever it is. I might not have that time. So I feel a little bit smarter about not only how I train, but how I recover.
Yeah. So you shared with us kind of the low experience of that one workout that you dropped in the rankings or whatever. Do you have a couple of really highlight experiences from that you remember over your CrossFit career to this point?
So I think that what will always stand out for me is the first time I qualified for regionals. And it was a different process back then. Like I said, I've been involved in the sport, and the sport has grown immensely since I first started. And the first one was a live competition. In my gym here in town that I was working out, I didn't have my own gym at the time. We took a group of 20 people out to San Diego. And San Diego and Arizona had a live event. And the top 20 people from that event qualified for regionals that year.
Okay.
And I had just started doing CrossFit, hadn't been doing it very long, really wanted to
Like a year
be involved.
or what?
Less than a year.
Less than a year?
8 months. 8 months, yeah. And now, mind you, I've been active my whole life, but I didn't play college sports. So I don't really have that athletic pedigree that some of these other college football players or college wrestlers had. And those are a lot of the people that were involved when we first started. And I really wanted to qualify. And that first year at that sectional, I think I finished 13th. And so I qualified.
That's incredible.
Now, so there's good and bad about that, right? Highs and lows. There was, I think, 2 months between that sectional and regionals, and I knew I had no business being there. There were just things I couldn't do yet. I got by on sheer grit and determination to qualify for that, and so I was trying to figure that out. And that regional was tough. It was a really big learning experience. I finished 3 spots out of last. But I was there.
But you were there.
And it was really cool. And that kind of was the jumping off point.
And you'd only been doing it for 10 months at that point. That's
right.
Incredible.
And actually that, when I qualified for regionals, that's when I decided to quit my job and start coaching full time.
Let's jump back to that in a second, but I want to relate to there's things that I can't do statement, because I've been working out with you for 3 months, and I feel like 25% of the exercises I can't do. I can't pull myself up with those muscle ups. Not even close. Not even.
It's funny you said that, because that was one of the things I couldn't do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I learned how to do them in that 2 months, but the workout that we had to do at regionals had 20 in them, and I had done maybe 20 in my lifetime. Right, and so I think I got 10 into the workout and just ended up standing at the rings the rest of the day. So here's how I explain that to somebody new. I, as an affiliate owner, want you to see people doing those things because I want them to inspire you, not intimidate you.
Yeah.
And it might not be something that you ever want or need to do, but if it's something that you want to do, I want you to know that we will help you get there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So we have a lot of people that come to the gym that may never do muscle ups. But we also have a lot of people that come to the gym that may have never thought about that. And then they start working out and then they see other people doing it. And I would put muscle ups right now on par with when we first started, it was watching people get their first pull up. That never goes away. Like it never, that feeling of watching somebody get their first pull up is incredible. They thought they couldn't do it. So like when we help somebody right now, because we've gotten really good at helping people get their first pull up.
Yeah.
So now it's like when we help somebody get their first muscle up, that's that same sort of joy that you see on their face. And then we have that same sort of shared joy as a coach.
You've had to help me get some pull-ups.
Like this.
You're like a lot like that.
Yeah, a lot like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Trying to do like 10 or 15 of them, and I can do like 4 or 5 by myself. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Help. Yeah, I'll help. We're always there to help. So, but yeah, I mean, we try and remind people that just because you see somebody else doing something, one, they're at a different point in their CrossFit journey, and then two, it may not be the best thing for you right now. So we know that you played volleyball, right? So what do I know as a coach? That you've got bad shoulders. It's repetitive use, right? And so we want to build the strength up, make your shoulders healthier so that as your kids get older and you're playing sports with them, that you don't have shoulder issues.
Yeah.
So some of the things that we do in the gym with you, we have that in mind versus, some 22-year-old kid that just wants to go in there and learn how to do everything and has no injury history.
Yeah. That's one of the things I appreciate about you. One of a number of things is that you do pay attention to the individuals. It seems like CrossFit is from just the outside before I got involved, and I've only been involved for 3 months and it's all been new to me. But from the outside looking in, it feels so tribal and people are like so intense and passionate about it. But you do a good job of taking people who are not part of it yet or don't have any experience and helping them find their way given their body type, their experience, their level of fitness coming in, their fears and insecurities, and just kind of like welcome them in and help them win and take the next step based on who they are now.
Yeah, and I can promise you it wasn't always that way. 10 years. We've been doing this. We'll celebrate our 9-year anniversary of having our own space in February.
That's awesome.
And when we first started, I wasn't the best coach, and I thank all the people that helped me get there, that were patient with me as a coach, who stood by me and watched me make mistakes. They were always with good intentions, but again, CrossFit was really new. We were all kind of learning together.
Yeah.
And so, over the last 10 years of coaching CrossFit full time, we've learned a lot. And you hear me say this in class all the time. My whole goal when you come in is to make sure that you get a really good workout.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
well, what are a couple of the things that you learned along the way that stand out to you? That I was trying to go about it this way, I was doing my best, but I realized that wasn't actually helpful. I need to do it this way. Is there anything like that comes to mind?
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is even though we're running a group fitness program, you have to take the time to get to know everybody individually and to understand their background, any injury history they might have, and why they're there. Because somebody might have a great background and no injury history, but they might just be there to hang out with their friends. So it doesn't mean I'm going to push them the same way as I'm going to push somebody who, maybe played college sports, has a little bit of an injury history, but also has the desire to compete as an athlete at triathlons or Tough Mudder Spartan races or CrossFit as a sport.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. Like before it was kind of, we would go into this and be like, well, this is what's programmed. And somebody would say, give you an excuse and you'd be like, but this is what we're doing today. And now we're a lot more patient and we allow people to have a little bit more input. And sometimes that goes both ways because we like to think of ourselves and we believe that we are the experts compared to somebody that doesn't have 10 years of coaching experience.
Sure.
So somebody's like, I think I should do this today. When as a coach, you know that that's probably not the best thing for them. Now, you have to have some really tough discussions. I have an athlete who has a low back injury and sees a chiropractor that we recommend. So I'm very familiar with her treatment plan.
Yeah.
Not because he shares that information with me, but because I've also dealt with some low back injuries. I hurt my back when I was in high school. And so I've had a flare-up. I've had probably 2 flare-ups in the last 10 years. So I'm aware of what that feels like and what the protocol is.
Yeah.
And so I had to pull her aside the other day and talk to her and remind her that the things that she was doing that she thought were easy on her back were actually setting her back from a recovery standpoint. So she was like, I'm not going to do this today. I'm going to go off to the side and do that. And I said, that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I know from experience.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man, I appreciate that you understand how the body works, and you coach people to that end and help prevent injury as opposed to letting people just kind of run wild on their own.
yeah, that's one of the other things that we've learned. We've learned a lot of really good rehab, prehab type stuff over the last 10 years.
Yeah, good warm-ups that are the
And not necessarily, somebody might think that we've learned that from getting hurt, right?
Yeah.
We've just learned that from CrossFit has learned that and has worked with experts.
Yeah. CrossFit has evolved in some way.
It has. It really has.
Yeah.
So
What differentiates, for the people that aren't as familiar, what differentiates CrossFit? What makes it unique? How do you describe it and talk about it?
sure. You used to hear constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity. That used to be like the tagline, the buzzwords, right?
Yeah.
I want to explain it to you like this. I have a client, a member of ours, who we had a discussion yesterday. He said, I went to Orange Theory Fitness over the weekend with my wife. And I said, awesome. And he said, it was after hours. They had a later class on Saturday. We close at noon on Saturday. Family's super important to me. We close at noon. And I said, that's great. I hope you got a good workout in. He said, I did. And he said, but I can't go there all the time. And I said, okay. He said, we do so many different things at CrossFit. There you do the same thing in the same time domain all the time.
Yeah.
So you know this, right? Some days you come in and we work out for 5 minutes. Now we do a lot of other stuff. We'll do accessory work or a little bit of bodybuilding. We always warm up. On those short days, we spend some time cooling down, spend a lot of time socializing, having family time, whatever. And some days you'll come in and we're right on it. We've got a 45-minute workout program. So not only are we hitting short and super intense, long, slow distance type stuff, but we're using all the implements.
Yeah.
Not just kettlebells, not just dumbbells, not just barbells, not just medicine balls,
Right.
not just running, not just gymnastics work. All of those things in different patterns.
Yeah. It is so varied that I've been shocked, which is, one of the reasons that I came to check it out is that I just get into a rut. I've worked out by myself for 20 years post-college, and I just do the same things over and over again. I stay in okay, not very good shape, but this just is a whole jolt to the system every single time. It's different.
Yeah. So if you ever run like a 5K or a 10K or a half marathon or a marathon, you go to the start line. Look around. And I have nothing against running. We run all the time. But if all you ever do is run, your body stops adapting
Yeah.
quickly. If you do the same thing over and over. If all you ever did was went to the gym and did 10 by 10 bench and 10 by 10 bicep curls, your body would just stop. It would just stop adapting. And so what we do is put things in different combinations and put things in different intensity levels and put things in different rep schemes and different volume loads and different weight loads.
Yeah.
And it has allowed people to continue to progress. My wife's been doing CrossFit for 10 years, same as me. She does the 1 hour class 5 days a week, and she's still getting better.
You mentioned this briefly before, but I want to invite you to expound on it. It's just like the mental, emotional component.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things I talk about a lot is kind of how health is really paying attention to wholeness, that body, mind, heart, soul, that it's connected. And I see that in the work that you do. And as you talk about the mental game being as important as the physical game, and that being part of what separates the elite, how do you see that play out in kind of the day-to-day preparation mentally, how it comes, kind of dealing with the emotions that come up when you're exercising, or as therapy, like cardiotherapy, people talk about, like, how do you see that playing out?
There's two pieces of that, really. So my wife and I always joke on days that there's some question or reason as to whether or not we're up in the air about going to the gym. And we always come back to, I'm going to be a better person the rest of the day if I go work out. So there's some hormone release involved in exercise.
Yep.
And you understand that.
Yep.
You go there, you might be in a terrible mood, you do something, you have this sense of accomplishment, you have this hormone release, you leave in a better mood.
Yeah, you do.
Right. The other part of it is when you do a structured exercise program, something like CrossFit, it teaches you how to overcome things and get through tough things. And that can be applied outside of the gym.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you mean like a tough thing would be this particular workout that I just don't like, or that I haven't been able to do yet, or
that I went in and I started working out, I didn't feel well.
Yeah.
But I still got it done.
Yeah.
Right?
I powered through.
One of the things we talked about before we got on camera today was we drove back from Flagstaff last night.
Yeah.
And what did I tell you? It was the hardest thing I've done recently. Right? And I've done some really hard workouts.
2.5 hour drive late at night.
It was 2.5 hours. It was, my normal bedtime is 8:45, 9 o'clock.
Really?
I try.
Awesome.
That might be fabricated a little bit. It might be 10 o'clock by the time I get to bed. But I try.
Yeah.
And it was 9:30 by the time we got in the car. And we drove from 9:30 until midnight. It was tough.
Yeah.
But you learn how to set little goals. Like, okay, if I can just get to here, then I'm gonna have a better radio station. Right?
If I can just get to that AM PM, I'm gonna get a cherry Coke.
I got a cherry Coke. I don't know. I went in and I got a cherry Coke. It's like, I'm gonna get crushed. I drank a 20-ounce cherry Coke last night. It was glorious.
Hey, you had to keep your family alive.
I couldn't tell you the last time I had a cherry Coke. And I went into the store and just stared at the case, and I was like, I'm gonna get a cherry Coke. Yeah, it was awesome. But it was like, it was similar to a long, grindy, awful workout.
Yeah.
If I can just find a way to get to the next round, 5 rounds of 30 minutes is 2.5 hours. If I can just get to here, then I get a better radio station. If I can just get to here, then, we'll stop and I'll get out for a minute. If I can just get to here, then I know what's going on.
So you do that during your workout too? You set more like small incremental goals for yourself?
Yeah, that really helps.
Push through this set?
That really helps. And there's a bunch of different ways to approach it. Sometimes it's, having a time in mind, because we sometimes do things for time, sometimes do things for number of rounds,
right?
In a certain time. But having those little checkpoints during the workout, and being able to adjust.
Yep.
Hey, if I'm way ahead, I need to slow down a little bit. Hey, if I fell behind, I need to assess, can I make up that time and still finish where I want to finish? Or, hey, do I need to adjust my thought process and my approach for the rest of that workout?
Yeah. One of the things that is unique about CrossFit is all like the code words. There's like, I feel like I still don't understand half of the acronyms and code words and things.
It's a good cult. It's a good cult.
It's a good cult. Yeah.
So when CrossFit first started, a lot of people described it as a cult. And one of the reasons that they described it as a cult was it has its own language.
Yeah, it does.
And so your first 60 days, you're learning a new language.
Yeah.
And you're working out.
Yeah. I don't have the language down at all, but what I appreciate is that I'm just like, hey, Brian, what the crap does this mean?
Or please tell me what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. So we use a lot of abbreviations or acronyms just to make it easier to communicate.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we also have is named workouts. And those used to be, when CrossFit first started, they would do a lot of those named workouts, and it would be as simple as the coach would come in and write the name on the board, and then you would know what that workout was.
Yeah. So. You said one of them was the famous military guy that
Murph.
Murph.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what's his workout?
So if you ask any CrossFitter you're not quite there yet, right?
No,
3 months, right?
No.
But if you went to another CrossFit gym and asked them, and they say, hey, we're doing Murph today, everybody would know what was going on, right? It's a mile run, it's 100 pull-ups, it's 200 push-ups, it's 300 air squats, and then it's another mile run.
Lord.
And if that's too easy for you, then you wear a weight vest.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah.
And now some people, there's different ways to do it. You can break it up. You could do 10 rounds of 10 pull-ups and 20 push-ups and 30 air squats, and then go out and run that second mile. But most people do it straight through.
Back to the mental emotional thing. There was an article that came out, I don't know, not too long ago, about CrossFit owners and coaches being like, quote, pastors
Oh, yeah.
of their tribe,
You and I
of
talked
their
about that
community,
briefly.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote the article. You brought that to my attention. Say more about that. What is that like in terms of kind of like caring for, shepherding people?
I never really thought about it like that until I read that article. What we have always talked about, my wife and I, as the leaders of our community, is just to lead from the front, to lead by example. And I'm not going to tell you to eat better, sleep more, spend more time on recovery if I don't do those things. But I think that the way that my wife and I run the gym, we talk family, health, and then fitness, right? So family first, health being everybody, in terms of being healthier, eating better, sleeping more, working out more consistently. And then fitness, like people that want to compete at something. And so those are kind of the three things in order in our priority. And so if you relate that to what used to be a church or a parish, or I think it makes sense to put the owner and the affiliate owner and the head coach as the priest figure.
Yeah.
And I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school, spent a lot of time in the Catholic Church. And I could see the comparisons.
Yeah.
I want to know everybody's kid's name.
Yeah.
I want to know, I want their wife to come to the gym too, or their husband to come to the gym too, if they come to the gym. And I want it to be a good thing for families.
Yeah.
And I want the CrossFit community, CrossFit Magna, I want it to be a good thing for spouses, something that they can bond over. Just like when my family goes to church on Sundays, it's that shared experience. It's the time in the car before. It's the breakfast if we go out to eat afterwards, or if we go to the grocery store afterwards. It's all that time together. And when you have a shared hobby or a shared belief system, I think those things go a lot farther.
Yeah. Well, and you are really creating a community. I mean, these people, they might work long hours. They might be driving in from other places. For a lot of them, this is their group, man. This is their tribe. These are their people. I see them staying and hanging out with each other after and in between.
Dating.
And dating and probably getting married.
We just had a marriage this weekend.
You
2
did?
members, yeah.
That met at the gym.
Well, technically they met at work.
Okay.
But
because
their relationship was a lot at the gym,
Yeah.
because they weren't supposed to be dating at work.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Well, and that's the upside, but there's also breakups, there's struggles, there's issues.
Yeah. So let's
That's
talk about the good
coming up.
stuff first, right? I try to remind everybody when new people start that most of their really good friends at the gym, they didn't know before they started. So you should welcome everybody in. Introduce yourself, help the new person that looks lost, show them where stuff is, help them stay on track with the class through the warm-up and the workout. And then it's really fun to see those relationships grow and those groups of people grow. Because in any community, there's going to be groups of people. There's going to be your people that like to go out and have beers. There's going to be people that like to go out and do Tough Mudders. There's going to be the professionals that have a lot of things in common that maybe are talking about work stuff, and they end up working together in a business development sort of way.
Yeah, yeah. You've got a lot of doctors and therapists and types of people. It seems like I've met at CrossFit Magna
We've got
too.
a great group of people.
Yeah.
We got one of everything sometimes.
Do you have a good story of life change? Someone that you saw come in this place and then they're here and you've watched a good transformation. You don't have to share their name if you don't want to, but
Sure.
just some kind of fun journey.
I have a guy that I work with. So this is a two-part story. I have a guy that I work with, and he came to us when I think he was 16. He's been a member of ours for 7 years now. And over the course of that time, he lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
I think he had lost like 40 of it before he started with us. He gained a whole bunch of confidence. He's got his own business now. And it's been really amazing to watch him and just what CrossFit has taught him, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and watch him be able to apply some of those things to his new business, his relationships. He's gotten his family involved, so his wife's involved, his sister's involved. And then most recently, he asked me if I would do some personal training with his stepdad. 69 years old.
Wow.
Parkinson's.
Oh, wow.
First time I met him, walked through the door, slouchy, no confidence.
Yeah.
So he's about, we joke that he's 2 inches taller now. We've been working together for 4 months, 5 months. He comes in twice a week. And those sessions are really, really intense, not physically, but he's always trying to impart wisdom on me. So I'm always trying to absorb that as well as make sure that he's doing the right things. So we spent months just working on posture and balance. And now we're starting to do some CrossFit stuff. And his goal is to be able to come in and take a CrossFit class.
Wow.
Which I think we're there. I think we'll figure out when his birthday is, and we'll do something special, or
On his 70th?
his anniversary of his Parkinson's diagnosis or something like that. Yeah. We're talking about a guy that this. There's two ways to respond to everything. There's the positive and the negative. And he took that Parkinson's diagnosis and really just went down the hole. And he took it as a death sentence. And we've been able to change that thinking a little bit. It was funny, the other day he came in and he was telling me how much his knees hurt. And he started to blame it on the Parkinson's. And we did some recovery stuff where we worked on his quads, and I showed him, he's got one of the massage guns, and I showed him some stretches and some other ways to manipulate his quad. And he's like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And so I told him, I said, you gotta stop blaming everything on the Parkinson's. I said, you're in here 3 days a week now. We squatted and did some lunges the other day. You have muscles in your legs. They're tight.
We're making them sore.
You have to recover some. And, while we haven't, that was the most direct I've been with him about recovery. I knew that he had one of those massage guns, and I just incorrectly assumed that he was using it. And so, but I think the light bulb really went on that, hey, not everything is a result of the Parkinson's.
Yeah.
Because some days he'll come in and he'll be in a great mood, and some days he'll come in and he'll be in a bad mood. And a lot of times he'll refer to the Parkinson's. And, me, I'm like, oh, you probably ate like crap last night. You probably had too many glasses of wine.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's the Parkinson's fault. When in actuality, if you ate like crap and had too many glasses of wine, you would feel the same way if you worked out.
Yeah. Dude, you also, you mentioned this, but I want to lean into this a little bit more too, is the culture that you create really elevates family. And you said family, fitness?
Family, health, and fitness.
Family, health, fitness. And I think that also is rare. Maybe from the outside looking in, people wouldn't expect that of a CrossFit gym, but you've created it. And that was one of the things that drew me in the first time I popped in and visited. You had this area over to the side where kids would play.
Yeah.
Your 2 kids. Now my 2 or 3 kids are just playing around over here, and other people that bring their kids and dogs in too. And it's just it feels good, and it really puts that value of family on display.
Yeah.
What's that conviction come from, and how do you manage it?
It was really important to me that if I was going to have my own business and spend as much time at that business as I do, that my family was involved. And when Katie and I sit down and talk about things, it's not, I don't want it to be just my family. I want it to be everybody's family, because I know how much it means to us to be able to spend that extra time with our kids. I also think it's really important for those kids to see their parents being healthy. I got dragged to, my dad played recreational softball and basketball while I was growing up, and I got dragged to all those games. And it was before we were old enough to play organized sports. So that was like our first introduction. We would get to run around and play with the extra basketballs or the extra softballs and get into so much trouble because we were always in the way. But it's hard to be mad when the kids are just trying to emulate their parents.
Yeah.
So for us, we don't offer childcare. You know this, but I don't know if you know why. I don't want it to be bring your kids and drop them off.
Right.
I want you to continue to parent, and I want the kids to be involved in that way, in that they're involved and they understand, hey, I'm doing this. This is important.
Yeah.
And yet you need to behave. And there's going to be times when you can come on the floor and we can hang out. There's going to be times when you guys have to play over there and make friends. Neighborhoods aren't really a thing anymore.
Right. It's
right?
true.
We were lucky enough to have a great neighbor. We just moved. We had a great neighbor that was across the street, and my kids got to play a lot with the neighbor. But when I grew up, all the neighbor kids played together, and there was always kids around. Yeah. And so I want my kids to have that. I want my kids to have neighbors, and to be able. So they look forward to seeing your kids at the gym, seeing the other kids at the gym, and they're asking about certain kids, and certain kids come on certain days and times, and they all get excited when somebody comes and they're not usually there. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah. It is cool.
And you'll see, this, you come in and there's generally a coach pushing a stroller around during class, right? So a mom can work out or a dad can work out.
Right.
And we tell everybody that.
Yeah. Well, and you hire people that are good with kids and that can help manage that. And so I'm working out and Henry's like, Dad, look at that. And you or Evan goes over there and says, Henry, I'll watch you. What do you want to show him? Okay, he's working out, right? And so it's like it's multifaceted, and it seems like you only hire and engage with people that can handle that dichotomy and handle both of those things because it matters so much to you.
Yeah, if you can't, it's not the right spot for you.
Yeah.
I tell everybody that. Good person first, good coach second. We can work on the coaching skills. Yeah. If you're not a good person, it's not the right fit for you because we're going to demand that every day.
Yeah.
If you don't like dogs, it's probably not the right fit for you either, right? There's always a dog there or two. So.
Well, it's a great culture that you're creating there, man. And so someone who's listening and they're like, I'm sure that there's all kinds of people that have are learning about CrossFit and having whatever associations with CrossFit positively impacted by listening to what you're talking about. What would you say to someone who it's the start of a new year and they want to get in a little bit better shape? That's what people are thinking about in January, February of every new year.
Every new year.
And maybe they live
it's probably the worst resolution, right? Most failed resolution. For sure. But every year some people make some progress, right? Yeah. And so if they're living in the Phoenix area, they can come to CrossFit Magna and meet you in person. If they don't, I would say find your local affiliate. It's probably nothing like you assume it's going to be. And we're at a point now in CrossFit where you probably have 2 or 3 options.
Like close to your house.
Close to your house.
Yeah.
5 miles one way, 5 miles the other way.
Yeah.
You need to find something that's convenient for you and that where you can build a social connection. You and I had this discussion the other day. I said, when you go back and think about why you fell in love with playing sports.
Yeah.
What did I tell you my reasons were? 1, it was my relationship with my dad. When I was young, my dad coached my teams. It was a great time with my dad. There's a relationship there. 2, it got to be all of my friends played sports with me. And some of the reason was because we played sports together, that we were friends, right? But people that have a shared belief and mindset are a lot easier to get along with than, so let's say I want to go to the gym and you want to go to the bar, right? I want to get in shape. You want to get in shape too, but you'd rather go to the bar, right? It's going to be a lot easier for me to go to the gym if you're my training partner and you want to go to the gym too, or you're my spouse and you want to go to the gym too, right?
Yeah.
So when people come in and we meet them, a lot of times I'll ask if their spouse is active, if their spouse has any interest. We get a couple that comes in together. I'm always very encouraged because I know that there's a greater likelihood that they'll stick with it. Because we've seen it over the years. We have people that love CrossFit and they just can't stick with it because their spouse isn't involved. And it's an hour and a half, 15 minutes to the gym, an hour at the gym, 15 minutes home, that they're not with their spouse and that their spouse isn't supportive of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that puts tension on that.
Yeah.
So,
Makes a
and the
lot
other thing that we mentioned earlier, right? When you first walk into an affiliate, it's going to be intimidating, both physically and
socially.
Socially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't know anybody.
Right.
And all these people seem like they're best friends.
Right.
You got to remember that most of them didn't know each other until they went to the gym. And if you work out for a month in the same class, I can promise you you're going to make some friends in that class. Because most people go to the same class every day, the same time slot.
So I can hear someone in my brain going, yeah, I want to do that. I'll check it out. But like in 3 months, first I have to get in a little bit better shape just so I don't embarrass myself.
I love that.
What should they do?
I love that. They should go to CrossFit.
Skip the 3 months and just go.
Yeah, you can't get in shape to do CrossFit. Just go, and I promise you that the coaches and the affiliate owners at that affiliate will take really good care of you because we've seen everything. We've seen elite athletes come in, and we've seen people that have never worked out in their lives.
Yeah.
I promise that if you just start that habit on day one and not try and start a different habit and then start your CrossFit habit in 3 months. And what did we talk about earlier? Like if you go out and try and run by yourself, 1, your body's going to stop adapting, and 2, there's no social group to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
There's no coach to hold you accountable. You're counting on yourself to do something you've never done before. Get up at 5 in the morning and go for a run. It's dark and cold out right now. Wouldn't you rather go to the gym at 5:30 where it's 70 degrees, the lights are on, there's good music on, hopefully good music, and a bunch of other people that are going to work out with you?
Yeah.
And they're probably going to ask you how your day was yesterday, what your kids are up to.
Well, dude, I mean, it's there's also something powerful and life-changing about doing something that makes you a little scared, right? And I'm a Division I athlete, and I was starting with CrossFit. I felt like a fish out of water. I don't know what I'm doing. Can't do a bunch of these exercises, but it's good for me to be uncomfortable. It's good for me to get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's good for me to do those things. There's all kinds of things that are good and healthy and progressive about me doing it. It's been a great experience, especially with the culture that you create. Thanks, dude. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for pushing us a little bit in that direction of better.
Thanks.
And giving us a glimpse.
Yeah, I'm glad we made it work.
Yeah.